Video games are volatile creations, especially when they're still in development. Wrangled by teams of hundreds and built precariously on top of cutting-edge technology, they can easily fall apart before the finish line. Often, even experienced developers end up rebooting projects, but slow and steady wins the race, and some of these games were definitely worth waiting for. Here's a rundown of some of the projects which, in the words of Solid Snake,
kept you waiting, huh?
That is... I don't understand any of it, but I bet if I did, that guy over there would still have his arm.
First up, it's the notorious Duke.
Who's that handsome devil?
Perhaps developer 3D Realms was tempting fate when it stuck forever in the title of its highly anticipated first-person shooter.
Hang on, this is gonna be rough.
14 years lapsed between its announcement in 1997 and release in 2011. It's a cautionary tale about trying to keep up with the Joneses. As games like Quake 2 and Half-Life continually set new bars for the FPS genre, 3D Realms ran desperately to keep pace. But eventually, staff got tired of building and rebuilding Duke Nukem forever. The money ran out and 3D Realms gave up. A week later, the company was sued for millions by its own publisher. In a twist of fate, Borderlands studio Gearbox stepped in to finish the game.
Excuse me, Duke Nukem? Yeah, my kid's a real big fan. Go on and ask him, Jimmy.
Mr. Nukem, will you sign this for me?
Sure, kid, but I better not find this on eBay.
Time to balance things out with another 90s hangover. Against the odds, this one ended well. Team Fortress 2 has been a mainstay of Steam for a decade and a half, and still pulls in tens of thousands of players a day, which makes it easy to forget that it was once considered vaporware. First shown at E3 before the millennium, Team Fortress 2 originally looked like a prototype for Battlefield, with realistic-looking soldiers and a strategic commander mode. Then it got shifted to a new engine, and Valve went quiet for approximately 6 years. It was an early taste of the approach that fans now call Valve time. As Gabe Newell once said, "These things, they take time." When Team Fortress 2 finally re-emerged, it looked like a Pixar movie with a sick sense of humor. It's the vision of the project that stuck, and has stuck around ever since. Team Fortress 2 became Valve's first ever live service game, and one of its most enduring.
Oh, they're going to have to glue you back together in hell!
When Shadow of the Colossus came out in 2005, its game director was surprised by just how much players loved their horse. Looking to explore that animal connection further, he and Team Ico came up with The Last Guardian. It was to be the adventure of a little boy and an adolescent thing, half cat, half bird. But Sony's engineers couldn't get it running the way they wanted to on the PS3, and The Last Guardian became a drawn-out production. By the time of its launch, that director no longer worked at Sony, instead directing the game as an outside consultant. Throughout the process, he regularly returned to old notes and sketches to remind himself of the game's original vision. In the end, despite all the upheaval, The Last Guardian turned out precisely as Team Ico imagined it, only with a higher resolution and better shaders, because the PS4 came out in the meantime. Right after GTA 5 came out in 2013, Rockstar said they had some ideas for a follow-up, but it's taken a long time for them to come to fruition.
That's it! Get us out of here!
That's partly down to GTA Online, which became astonishingly successful after a slow and buggy start. Rather than develop single-player expansions like The Ballad of Gay Tony, Rockstar North has focused its attention on story-driven heists that can be played in co-op. For a while there, it seemed as if solo GTA games were on the back burner. More recently, however, whispers have circulated about a return to Vice City through the eyes of a female protagonist. And when the first GTA 6 trailer dropped, that's exactly what we got.
Lucia, do you know why you're here? Bad luck, I guess.
However, where the Vice City of the Noughties was a tight and strict urban space, GTA 6 appears to be pushing outward into rural Florida. Sorry, not Florida, Leonida. And Vice City is definitely not Miami, despite the alligators.
Trust?
Trust.
Here's a fact that's hard to believe. It took Rocksteady just 8 years to create the entire Arkham trilogy and change the face of superhero games as we know them. But in the 8 years since, they've only made a Batman VR game and Suicide Squad. That's less of a condemnation of Rocksteady than a sign of the times. As consoles have gotten more powerful, games have gotten larger and more detailed. As a consequence, a blockbuster can now take half a decade to make, even without the multiple delays that have plagued Suicide Squad. Now, this latest entry to the Arkhamverse is finally finished. But Rocksteady may be too late.
Did you get him?
Really? Why don't you just mail me the bullet?
Kill the Justice League is built on a loot shooter format first made popular a decade ago. With even Destiny 2 on the decline, it's not a given that players will stick around for another take on the same formula, though it seems many are loving the characters and storyline, so there's still hope.
How'd we end up hugging a giant plant? Well, I have allergies. Anyone care?
At long last, all of these stories can be put to rest. But you know, there's always a new contender on the horizon.
Gods protect us.
For instance, Beyond Good and Evil 2 has now overtaken Duke Nukem Forever as the longest awaited video game ever. It's a genuine Guinness World Record. We'll try and keep you updated on that. In the meantime, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to hear all the latest from Logitech G.
Yo, hand it over. I got a hot date. Don't do late.